Now, with the tone of the conversation set, we have in the studio to share perspectives Hajia Maryam Ciroma, an astute politician, a former minister, and of course, a very strong voice, women advocate, rights advocate. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you.
Also, happy Silver Jubilee of democracy in Nigeria. Uninterrupted, anyway. We've had it, at different levels. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Ajab, so far, is it something to be happy about, the 25 years of democracy so far, considering the scandal that we have faced?
Well, honestly, the democracy we were expecting to enjoy in Nigeria, that's not the democracy that is happening in Nigeria of today. I know that our politicians and leaders fought seriously to ensure that Nigeria returned to democratic rule. And we thank God the military then understood the problem of Nigerians, and they agreed to hand over to politicians. That was why we had the interim government that was set up by the military to ensure that they conduct free and fair election, that Nigeria can return to democracy. And we returned to democracy in 1999. And Nigerians were so hopeful that we will be democratic, meaning it will be government of the people, for the people, by the people.
Well, was it a wrong choice in the first place, or is it that it was hurriedly taken by the elites then? Because there was this concern around pushing the military back to the barracks. So politicians come together to set up a transitional political structure, so to speak. But democracy is working elsewhere. Was it a wrong choice, or is it that it is not in tune with our realities?
Well, world over, democracy is just the rule. Everywhere in the world, people are aspiring to be democratic. People should be able to make their own choice. That is what democracy is all about. The people should be able to decide who governs them, and the people should be able to decide if they are not happy with the government to change them. And that's how it's supposed to be. And Nigerians were so happy to be democratic, because when they formed the political parties then, the political parties that were formed were really national political parties. It was no longer regional political parties. And we had political parties that all Nigerians belong to those political parties. And they were hopeful that we will have government of the people, for the people, by the people. But as of today, for me, that's not what is happening in Nigeria of today.
Why is it so?
I always say that the elites have failed. They have failed Nigerian, because I remember that when our leaders fought for independence and we became independent, the policy then was to ensure that every Nigerian has a voice in the governance of his country. And when we have a government that is for the people, and the government that are providing services for the people, when you have democracy, people are aspiring to have good education, people are aspiring to have good economy, people are aspiring to have progress in their lives. When you go to bed, you sleep very peacefully. You are happy that tomorrow, when you wake up, you have good things coming your way. Is that what we are expecting, what we are getting in Nigeria of today? So my problem is that democracy in Nigeria of today is not the democracy Nigerians were expecting. It has failed completely.
All right, let's rate, President Tinubu's administration so far, the performance and the set agenda that he made and announced during his inaugural speech. So far, even though you've made mention and pointed the fact that people are not really feeling democracy, but President Tinubu's agenda has put it forward that he listened at least to the people to some extent. How would you rate his performance so far, considering his decisions of policies that removing the fuel subsidy and the naira fluctuation, and at least there's a good side to it, that's the passing of the student bill initiative? What is your take on the whole of President Tinubu's 1 year in office?
Nigerians are disappointed completely, because as far as I'm concerned, we are not getting what we were expecting. As at now, Nigerians are really in a situation, a critical situation. People cannot afford to eat. People cannot afford to aspire to become anything in this country because the situation is so bad. When we are talking of governance, you are providing good governance for the people because the people are expecting to live happily. Nigeria of today, do we have the farmers cannot go to farm? They cannot. Nigeria, we are supposed to be exporting. If we are exporting, it means we are earning good economy. Our economy is improving. We are not getting it. School, you see children out of school. They can't go to school. Why? Because their parents cannot afford it. When you are talking of, look at companies. Companies are folding up in this country. Last 1 year in Nigeria, we have gone down. That is it. We are not going up. Everybody is aspiring that, okay, people are saying that he did very well in Lagos, and people are expected to have something better for Nigerians. And we all thought that we will move up. But if we look at the grades, are we moving up or we are going down? We are going down. That is it. Whether people need to say it or not, I'm saying that in Nigeria of today, nobody is happy. Every day you see people crying. We have these issues. Farmers cannot go to farm because of insecurity. We thought it will improve. It has not improved. Look at our currency. People are now, it's now no longer democracy, it's demo-dollar. People are thinking of dollars, not democracy anymore. Honestly, because every day people talk of, you go to village, you want to buy something, they will tell you the price has increased. When you complain, oh, it's the dollars. What type of thing is this? Are we now serving the dollars? Or we should be proud of our naira. We should have our currency and be proud of. But last 1 year, the rate which our currency has gone down.
It's really disheartening.
Yeah, you raised a number of issues. You know, I had wanted to take you on the initial ones, but then you brought up another very fundamental one, the dollarization of the economy. You know, and today we are where we are because our currency has been, badly affected. Yes. But then, increasing the value of our currency requires a lot. We're talking about a country that is dependent on importation. Even fuel that we use in Nigeria is being refined elsewhere. I'm sure that's not what our forefathers actually envisaged. A country that can be able to be self-sufficient. A number of refineries have been built, around 4 of them or so, and none of them is functional today. A 6th largest producer of crude oil is depending on petrol that is refined outside its shores, and yet we want our currency to have value. Are we really serious as a nation?
Honestly, that's what I said. The elites in this country have really failed ordinary Nigerians because God has blessed this country. We had good government. God Almighty has blessed this country with resources. Both human and material resources. Nigerians are so brilliant. They are so people that want to do something that can please their country. But are we getting it? We are not. As I said, farmers in those days we used to have what they call this in Kano, food, whatever we export food in Nigeria. I remember in those days in December, cotton production in Nigeria. Nigeria exports cotton. We had big factories that are produced textiles with cotton grown in Nigeria.
Yes.
And that was where Nigeria was Nigeria. When you go out, you feel so proud to be a Nigerian. In fact, I remember when you go out, you enter a taxi, oh, I'm from Nigeria. You are so happy to say you are from Nigeria. Today, can you say that?
Yeah, people actually run from us, and honestly, you cannot blame them. People get alerted when they see Nigerians, considering the fact that we are known to be really smart and intelligent people. But then speaking about how to fix this situation, there have been a lot of ideas being put forward, suggestions on what to do, starting with the security of the state policing and all of that, even though it has been shut down at least for the moment, saying Nigeria is not mature about it. But there's also a push for, autonomy to be given to the local governments, which some people are fearing that it would create like a 2 federation, while others are saying that could work Do you think going that route would work? I mean, with the presidency standing on its own and the state also standing on its own, would it create some kind of, the gap that the people do not feel, that the people rather feel between them and the governance?
Are you talking of security?
No, not security. I'm talking about, the suggestion of true federation. I'm talking about the federal government and the state government, but then having its own independence.
The tiers of government.
Well, as at now, even now, we are having issues with unity in this country. One will say Nigeria should be a united country because in unity we are strong. But once you begin to say, okay, you want to empower the other sections of the government, then it means you are bringing some sort of division. For me, if we have a very strong federal government that is providing the right leadership, the states, which means the federal government can supervise the states, and the states can also learn from the federal government, so that we can have strong states, strong local governments, even worse.
Yeah, but we don't have the strong local government right now.
We don't,
and that's why people are pushing. But then people have the fear that if at all they give the local government some kind of power, when it comes to the money being allocated to the local government, it goes through the state government. And there is that fear that the state government does not give the local government this thing. So now people are saying that there should be autonomy to the local government. But then there is that fear of saying it would create, more federation.
Will that change the attitude of Nigerians towards corruption? Our major issue is corruption in this country. That is our major challenge.
What is blocking the fight of corruption?
So the problem is that if you say the local governments should have their own the allocation direct from the federal government, the state should supervise them to see how they are implementing it. But you go to the local governments, when they get these allocations, are they really using to develop their local governments?
Do they get the allocation in the first
What I'm saying is that even if the small they give to them, are they really using it to develop their local governments?
Right.
So if the states are not really giving them what they should give them, then the federal government should take note of that and also take the necessary action.
Yes, earlier you were talking about the fact that democracy is not working for Nigeria as envisaged, despite the fact that it is a system that is working elsewhere and that has all the necessary features that will make a country great. Now, there is concern around leadership recruitment process. You talked about the fact that Nigerians don't longer believe in perhaps that their votes perhaps count in the first place. What is wrong with our leadership recruitment process? What do we need to do? We have independent electoral commission at the center and we have them also at the state level. Is it that the vote does not count, or the influence of those in government has affected their ability to deliver?
For me, I think in Nigeria of today, as I said, we are not practicing democracy because people now have really changed the issue of people's views and opinions. They have monetized it. If you in the local governments or in the states, you have qualified people that can govern, people should go there and vote. But unfortunately for us, the issue of monetization of election has taken over. And honestly, in Nigeria of today, people are really not happy with the way we conduct our elections. And when you say, okay, after elections, and if you feel that you've not been treated fairly, you can go and appeal. Are we getting also from our judiciary? Are they also giving us the necessary justice? Because they are supposed the hope of Nigerians, hope of the common man. If you feel that you've not gotten it right, then you go and protest, and then they look at it and give you a fair hearing. Are we getting it? Everything in Nigeria has been monetized, and everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. And people, when they go to go and vote, they go and buy them. You have your own idea, you want to get this. That is not it. And apart from that, it's not only voting, it's choosing or selecting leaders. You go to the states. Our leader in the states, a governor will, when his term is up, he will want to bring somebody. He will not allow the people to go and say, this is the person that will be there for us, who will deliver justice to us, or who will bring development in our states. No, they will plant somebody, and if you don't support that person, you are on your own. If that person is the right person or is not the right person, it does not matter. That's what the governor wants.
But before now, Hajia, we know that elections, Nigerians are very much interested in electioneering period, because it is a time for them to decide, who governs them. You talked about excessive monetization of the polity, which is also very obvious. How does this affect, the ability for Nigerians to get the good leaders? Because if, for instance, as a politician, you have the capacity, you have the patriotism, you have the love of the country, and you want to serve, but from the onset, you are discouraged because you cannot even afford to buy a nomination form at 100 million naira. So what does this say to the kind of leaders that we're churning in, after elections? Because if perhaps somebody who has the capacity cannot go there, then is it that we'll continue to have this cycle of bad leadership and governance?
Honestly, these are the challenges we are facing, because as you rightly said, you may have a very good person, the person that has the capacity, the ability, and the courage to provide what Nigerians need, but the person may not be that rich to afford to even buy the nomination form, as you say, and not only that, to even go through the election. Even because
to finance the
that is just it, and that is affecting the quality of leaders we are getting in this country. We just have to be patriotic. We just have to think patriotic in Nigeria. If we get a person who can really do it for us, why can't we rally around the person and ensure that we get the person that can really bring democracy, not only democracy, but development into our country? Look at our neighboring country. They are now laughing at Nigeria. I remember in those days, we were a very strong country, and we are very proud to be number one country in Africa. Everybody respects us, but as of today, are we getting it right? And it has to do with our leaders. It has to do with our leaders. So Nigerians need to be patriotic. Even if you can draw back and allow somebody who you think can do it better, let us support that person.
I mean, speaking on the election process, one of the things that the masses have pushed forward is the young people also being in the table as well. And during the last administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, he made sure that was initiated and started working. But then it seemed to be, just like my colleague pointed out, the fact that it's really difficult for the young to penetrate, considering the cost and all of that. And until now, it seems like the elders are the ones still ruling the country. So, how can we be able to penetrate this? A difficult situation.
It still goes back to the same thing. That is the selfishness of our elites, because we are supposed to be mentoring those that are coming after us. That is, at least if we are providing good leadership, a leader, people should be able to copy a leader, and you are providing for the younger people. When they see, in fact, they will learn from you, and it's like some sort of, oh, I want to be like so and so, and they will want to be like you. And the leader should also will also try as much as possible to ensure they mentor them, because they will take over from these people. But are we doing it? And unfortunately, the youth are also learning from this problem we are having, because as far as they are concerned, that's what they are seeing. So is that what we are leaving for our children, our great-grandchildren, yet unborn Nigerians? Is that the country we want to live for them?
Are we likely to have a consensus? Now, since the political elites should be interested also in the stability of the country, at least, even if they are not interested in the development, but should be interested in the stability of the country. And the concern is leadership has failed, and there is need to have a change, in our attitude to leadership. But it appears it's still the same cycle of, selfishness, if I should put it that way. Monies are being budgeted year in, year out, but then it is skewed in favor of the ruling elites. We've seen billions of naira being expended on the legislature, billions of naira being expended on the executive, contracts running into trillions of naira being awarded, but then the majority, that is the ordinary people, are left almost with nothing. So how do we change this narrative?
It still has to do with our attitude. Because if we put Nigeria first, our country first, we will not do what we are doing today. Because when you say your country comes first, then you look at how you are going to ensure that your country progresses. And if that is the policy, then what we are doing with expanding huge resources on what we are doing now, it should not be the case. Because this money should be invested. This money should be invested to provide job for Nigerians.
Do you think the lack of penalty, pursuing people who are caught in the act of corruption and bribery and all of that is the main issue, considering what the president said? He said corruption is fighting back, even though one of his promises was he was going to fight corruption, or he is going to fight corruption. Do you think lack of accountability and transparency is the cause of this circle?
Yes, that is, for me, that is it. Because who takes responsibility? If things are going bad, who takes responsibility? It's the leadership. If people are happy, it's the leadership that will be praised. So as far as I'm concerned, nobody can say that why can't we take serious decisions and ensure that we have rules and regulations, we have policies that will be followed so that all these things can be curtailed. Are we doing it? No, we have the systems that are supposed to ensure that all these things does not happen. And if somebody is corrupt, somebody this, we have how to handle it. Are we doing it?
All right, one question I have to ask before we open the phone line for the viewers to contribute. It's about freedom of press. One thing is clear, that the press are the only voices of the masses at this point, and that's the only gap that connects between the masses and the governance. But then there's been a lot of attack on media men, on journalists, whenever they are in the duty of doing their job, even after we pride ourselves as democratic country. So how can we stop this menace where the elites use their power in order to tongue-tie, of course, the journalists in doing their job?
Honestly, for me, I think the press should stand their ground. My husband was once a journalist, and I know how they operated then. The journalists should stand their ground because, as you rightly said, they are the voice of the common man. The journalists or the press are supposed to be there for Nigerians, and they should not fear anybody. They should, what is right, and what is wrong is wrong. And the press should take a position because they are the only agency that Nigerians are looking forward to.
Before we open the lines, it's a conversation has to be, two sides, two ways. We're talking about leadership. What happened to the followership? Many believe that there is need for reorientation, value reorientation among Nigerians, considering how Nigerians behave these days. We're talking about corruption as one of the bane of our democracy and the country as a whole. But just recently, a senator was talking about the fact that corruption is people-induced, The public themselves, the ordinary people themselves encourage leaders to steal so that they can share with them. In fact, if you are elected and you come back home without nothing, your constituents would ask you, what are you doing? They've been sharing this and that, where is our own? So how do we change that?
Yes, it's true that we really have to maybe go back to school. Everybody will have to go back to school because honestly, as you rightly said, the whole country now, what can I get? What I can get. If you are electing somebody, once that person is there, okay, I'm waiting. What can he give me? It's not what policy are they going to implement that will help me. It's what I can get now, and that is the. Things are so bad for Nigerians now. They are now looking forward to the public officers to get something from them. Is that what we are talking about? Or when you say we are sharing palliatives, we are sharing maize, we are sharing rice to Nigerians, is that what we want? For me, that's not it. Create opportunity for them to go and farm the rice themselves and then sell it. You don't go there and say, today we are sharing palliatives to Nigerians. For me, that is not it. It's not an achievement. And that is what is now making Nigerians to be lazy. Because you give them. They don't have to work for it.
They're waiting for handouts.
Yes. Is that the country we want? So for me, even the common man also needs to be reoriented, because they have to look at it in such a way that let me go there and work myself and earn it.
That's right. Okay, it's about time I think we also involve Nigerians in the conversation. You can join us. The phone lines are there on your screen so that you can make your contributions as we celebrate Nigeria's democratic silver jubilee, talking about 25 years of uninterrupted democracy. And of course, also looking at the 1 year of the current administration.
Indeed.
So,
and let's not forget, of course, we're talking about, while we're talking about governors, we have to remember the state governors. They seem to have a lot of power, but still the people are complaining because they're not really feeling the impact of governors. And we all know the federation cannot do it alone. We're talking about the federal government. The state government needs to do their own because they are more closer to the grassroots. So what is your take on the, so far the activities of the governors of each, state, that's the 36 states that we have?
Our problem is still the same. All we are saying is that even at the state level, the governor should provide, if a state is progressing, the governor is there, his people are going to the farms, the children are going to school, everybody is happy. That should be the dream of a governor, for his state to be safe, for his state to be productive. And other states will copy that state if we have a state that has this kind of progress. But in Nigeria of today, do we have a state that we can pinpoint and say this state is this state is that?
Indeed. All right, we'll take a call. Good morning. Oh, we lost that call. Please go ahead. Call the numbers on your TV screen. Let's hear your take on what is happening. Now, all right, we have another caller. Good morning.
Okay, well, we're with the calls.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, how are you doing?
Fine, thank you. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Hamza Abdullah from Gombe State.
Good to have you from Gombe, Hamza. So go ahead with your take.
Actually, I first of all want to congratulate Nigerian for making it this far, even though we have gone through so many democratic processes that lead us to where we are today. But from some of the points highlighted from the guest, I quite agree with her in so many ways. And one of the points he stated clearly was corruption. If only in this country we can solve this main and stop corruption, I think we'll go a long way in going beyond what we dream to have this country where we need to have this country. Secondly, concerning the media, seriously, the what's it called? The press are doing their job very well, but I can still categorically tell you that there are some areas where, hello?
Yeah, we're still with you.
All right. There are some areas where some, I don't know the word I will call it. Is it, what's it called?
They are not represented?
No. Some of the things are not being said the way they are being seen in the field. Some kind of things happened in the cycle of government, but when presented before there is kind of biases, and sometimes some things are being bought or some things are being maneuvered by some kind of, so many things. People do so many things for ends.
Okay, I think you have made the point.
Yeah, we lost Hamza on that one.
Right.
And, talking on that particular one, sometimes it's what the government give the journalists that they tend to work with. If a journalist goes to work, they go all dive in to do their civil responsibility on that one.
Yeah. Okay, talking about, yes, because the caller there also emphasized this point, the need for us to fight corruption, which is a fundamental problem in Nigeria. Even President Muhammadu Buhari at some point said, if we don't kill corruption, corruption will kill us. And we've seen how badly, corruption is slowing down development in our country. But there are examples elsewhere. Countries who were really serious in fighting corruption, we've seen what they've done. The likes of China, severe punishment, even to the extent of death, making people, to not to even get close to corruption. But in Nigeria, it seems to be a lip service, some would say. We've been talking about fighting corruption, but it has not been working. We have a caller. When we return, okay, Haja, I would like to get your take. How do you think, what's your take with the way we are managing this anti-corruption fight? Are we really serious about it?
Honestly, we are not. Okay. We are not, because as I said, we have agencies that are supposed to be to help us with this issue of corruption. Are we getting it right? Because what proof do you need when everyone knows what is going on? So have we seen anybody being indicted seriously for corruption in Nigeria?
Rather, we've seen governors being pardoned, if you like, and those who have been involved in corruption in the past, a number of them
are still holding office. And it is for us. Honestly, we have to be serious about this issue of fighting corruption, because as you said, as Buhari said, if we don't kill it, it will kill us. It is killing us now. That's what is killing also this country. So we have to be.
Does it have to do with our laws? Because these days you find out that people, who steal from the public funds, purse, would easily say, okay, it's just about going to court, and then if they go to court, there is what they call plea bargain. Someone steals 200 billion, just go and part ways with 100 million or 120, and then get away with the others. So is there a need for us to also look at the framework, the law? What does the law say? Why should there stringent measures against corrupt elements?
The laws are there, but are we really obeying the laws? Are we really using it? Are we really using it to fight corruption? When you're a leader bragging that, okay, I'm corrupt, and then you have other people that are corrupt. If you think you can go and catch so and so, if you are able to catch that person, you can. Yes.
It is not about me alone. Okay.
So is that what we want when you have leaders bragging like that? Is that not shameful for us to have that kind of thing?
Indeed. We've had situation of people saying it's a witch hunt. People are just coming for me. But let's use typical example of what happened during the Yahya Bello's situation with the EFCC. Will you say this current EFCC's administration under Ola Olukoyede is really working, but then have a bit of wall blocking, their job?
We have to see it eye to eye that this is what is going on. People have been indicted, but have people been indicted?
Yeah, but there seems to be some kind of a blockage in at least allowing the EFCC as a body of anti-corruption to fight the corruption.
Well, we'll keep on praying for them to do the right and to get it right, because anybody that has this responsibility is doing it for our country. And I think if they are really very serious about what they are doing, we will see the results.
Haja, you happen to be at some point the Minister of Women Affairs, in this country. What do you make up with what women in particular are going through in our democratic experiment? 25 years of uninterrupted democracy, we have women displaced, either by Boko Haram or by bandits or by all the criminal elements, including their children. A number of them have been made widows. With orphan children. We're talking about out-of-school children. A number of them are as a result of their situation, with the crisis. How do you feel, as a woman, when you see this happening? And are our leaders actually taking this issue seriously?
Honestly, our challenges today in this country, I think the women are most affected. Because as you rightly said, as a woman, you have your husband may be a farmer, and your husband cannot go to the farm. And when he leaves the house for the farm, you are worried because he may be kidnapped. The concern is for the woman. And as you rightly said, if I see these young children on the street, at times I get emotional. You see young children that are supposed to be in school, they are not there. And before you know it, these are the people that tomorrow will be criminals in this country. When we are talking of bandits, if they have good education, they have good employment, will they go and do this what they are doing today? And the people that are suffering this challenge are the women, because it's their children. So as far as I'm concerned, as a mother, we are not happy with what is going on in this country, because it's the women that are most affected. When you are a wife, you are waiting for your husband to bring food money for you, chefane, how we call it. Your husband cannot no longer bring it. It's you that have the problem. You understand? So
because you're directly with the children. Their children are always there with you.
That's it. And when we are talking of our issue of harassment, you have young girls walking on the streets, patrolling the streets, and these young girls are being attacked. Their mothers are not happy. You are at home, your daughter is out, and you are worried. What will happen to your daughter? Is that the country we want? So Nigerian women are not happy with what is going on, and we are pleading with the government to look at this issue, especially to ensure that the women folk in this country are really happy with their country.
I mean, we have a report for you now. Since the beginning of the Fourth Republic in 1999, over 170 governors have served across the 36 states of the Federation. According to the 1999 Constitution, a governor is the chief executive of the state. Beyond controlling the executive arm of government, governors manage resources and implement reforms, policies, and programs crucial to the state's development. As Nigeria celebrates 25 years of uninterrupted democratic rule, Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail examines the power of governors and the progress made since 1999. Take a look.
Nigerian governors are among the most powerful and influential people in Nigeria. While in office, they enjoy immunity from prosecution. They control state resources, manage the growth and development of state, receive monthly allocations from the Federation account, and command serious political power, usually unchecked by any institution.
An average Nigerian governor, if I may use the term, is an emperor. Even though he was voted by democratic means, using democratic processes, but his rule over the states that he governs is not up to scratch in democratic processes. And I'm saying this because it is the opinion of most Nigerians that democracy has not been up to scratch at the state levels.
For decades, there have been numerous concerns regarding the conduct of some Nigerian governors, with many accused of abusing their power. Consequently, deputy governors, local council chairmen, and state House of Assembly members have often been reduced to proxies dancing to the tunes of the state chief executives.
But when governors came to the leadership structure, which was changed by Obasanjo, that instead of party chairman being the leader, the governor became the leader in the state, while he as the president became the leader, the national leader. So I think so that gave the governors and the president enormous power, not only on governance, but also on in the party. Certainly by 2003, we can say most of the people came to the house of the blessing of their governance.
As Nigeria marks 25 years of uninterrupted democratic rule, citizens are reflecting on the performance of state governors and the democratic journey so far.
If I should appraise the performance of the governors in my state, I would say some of them are fair and some of them, their performance is poor. But trying to appraise the whole thing, democracy together, me, if you ask me, I will tell you that I'm scoring them 25 to 30%.
They have achieved nothing, because look at the struggle. Look at our children. They made them of no value.
There's been a drastic improvement, because if you go to Osun State now, there are lots of development in terms of infrastructure, in terms of youth empowerment and advocacy. There's been a lot. But even though the state is not in the state where it's supposed to.
While allegations of misconduct and corruption have plagued many Nigerian governors, only 6 have been convicted in the past 25 years, with even those convictions often resulting in lenient or overturned sentences. Depre Alamesia, who served as the governor of Bayelsa State from 1999 to 2005, was convicted of money laundering, but served only a short prison term. Lucky Igbinidion, governor of Edo State from 1999 to 2007, was convicted of embezzling 2.9 billion naira but was released after paying a fine. James Ibori, governor of Delta State from 1999 to 2007, was convicted of laundering $77 million and sentenced to 13 years in a UK prison. Similarly, Jolly Yami, governor of Taraba State from 1999 to 2007, was convicted in 2018 for diverting 1.64 billion naira from state coffers, sentenced to 14 years in prison, later receiving a state pardon. Joshua Darie, who governed Plateau State from 1999 to 2006, was also convicted in 2018 for misappropriating 1.162 billion naira. He was sentenced to prison but was subsequently granted a state pardon. These cases highlight the challenges in holding governors accountable for corruption and misconduct, despite the persistent allegations against many of them.
How do they showcase the implementation of projects, the budgeting process, the implementation of budgets? Again, they vary. Some governors who are experienced knows the implications of not budgeting, not implementing the budget according to the law, and so on and so forth. Some don't even care. The budget is different and the implementation is totally extra budgetary. And that is why corruption sometimes is very, very, very clear. When you budget something, you don't implement it, and you implement something that you have not budgeted, it's very easy for people to pick the gaps. And that is why catching governors on corruption is very, very easy in this country. So, in a summary, the performance vary, but there are some few governors who have performed very well. But most of the governors, I'm sorry to say, the performance on these indices are not as desired.
From 1999 to 2024, 6 governors were impeached by their state houses of assembly over allegations of corruption or misconduct. Governor Dipre Alamesia of Bayelsa State was impeached in December 2005. Governor Rashidi Adewolu Ladoja of Oyo State was impeached in January 2006. Peter Ayodele Fayoshe of Ikiti was impeached in October 2006. And Peter Obi of Anambra State followed in November 2006. Joshua Darie of Plateau State was also impeached in November 2006.
But politics crept into it. The very few governors that have been impeached, in most cases it has political tonnage. There is something that they call the stakeholders, the senior stakeholders in political parties. If you don't appease them, they can rely back onto the legislature and they can brew challenges for the governor, particularly governors who are very, very strong-headed. They don't want to follow what the stakeholders are saying. They are reckless. They do whatever they like, thinking that they are the governor. If the legislature is infected, they can actually impeach the governor. But in most cases, the governors actually control the legislature.
Notably, from 1999 to 2024, 8 deputy governors ascended to the position of governor. Throughout these years, there has been an ongoing debate regarding the misuse of local government funds. Governors and state houses of assembly have consistently refused to grant financial autonomy to local councils, fueling concerns about corruption and mismanagement at the local government level.
They've actually consider local government allocations as their own. They don't even give it to the local governments. They don't even allow local government access to it. When the money arrives, they just call the local government chairman, whom they eventually appoint anyway, and say, look, hey, okay, I'm doing this, I'll give you this for payment of salaries and the rest. It's retained at that level. So there's so much power granted, or rather, the governors have been allowed to take as much power as even beyond what is required under the Constitution. So because there has not been a lot of checks on governors, there has to be periodic checks on governors. This issue about allowing them autonomy of own the rule, no, there has to be accountability.
Although there are numerous allegations against state governors, it is noteworthy that They have also contributed significantly to the development of their respective states. Their contributions span various sectors, including the provision of healthcare, improvements in education, and the initiation and completion of infrastructural projects. These efforts have played a crucial role in enhancing the quality of life for residents and promoting economic growth within their states. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Abuja.
I mean, there seemed to be a lot of controversy surrounding the governors. Shafiu, you would agree with me that we had a lot of banter also behind.
Behind the scene, actually, because this is a very fundamental question, and the position of governors in Nigeria's polity is very crucial in the sense that these enormous powers people are talking about, has even gone beyond just controlling their states. I don't know, Hajia will be able to tell us. You've been following developments in this country. Successive governments in recent time have been making efforts, for instance, to free local governments in the hands of governors, and several measures have been taken. At some point, executive orders and all of that. Now you go to a stage that the present administration has to go to court to tell them that, they have to implement this total autonomy of local governments. Why is it that the governors have amassed this enormous powers to the extent that they are even presidency cannot call them to order?
Well, it still has to do with our system, because the governors in the states, they control the states. They feel they control the states, and nobody can tell them what to do or what not to do. Even the president cannot tell them. But we have a constitution in this country, and the constitution separates powers for the state government, the local government, the federal government. Everyone has his own share of how to handle his or her own constituency. But unfortunately, in the case of the states, the governors are the boss of everybody. They cannot, even a state, even if a state has a program, if the government does not approve, they cannot implement it.
Even outside power, yes. Even if it has left power.
Yes, they still control
their successors.
Yes.
Now, Elias, talking about this now, you can see that in recent times, looking at developments in the country, the governors have influence over legislature, because the legislature itself cannot, disagree or agree on something that the governor is not agreeing on. We've seen several bills taken to states for concurrence, for them to just accept. It has been, reforms have been taking place, constitutional amendments have been done, but just for the states to agree, they have to go to the governor to either tell them whether to agree or not to agree, including their own independence. They are told to be, they created a way for them to be independent, but yet, they are waiting for governor to tell them whether they should accept their freedom or not.
Indeed.
Okay, but we have a caller before Hajia answers this.
Yeah. Good morning, Ahmed.
Good morning.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
I want to contribute to the program.
Of course. Go ahead.
I want to comment about the fight on corruption. For me, in my view, the noise about the fighting on corruption is just a gimmick. I say it's a gimmick because many politicians, they do this thing. Even those who are convicted, I should give the list, those who are convicted. Today they are roaming about the street with their looted funds, without shame, and using the money to steal, to intimidate people. For instance, some governors, today it's like there's no constitution. And they do whatever they like with the state money. And if you talk in the state, you become an enemy. Even some of the politicians, they don't do the right thing, like the legislators and others. They don't do the right thing because of fear of being victimized by the governor. There is this thing in question now, like the governor of Kogi State. How can somebody, only though it's an allegation, we all know, but in every rumor, there must be some element of truth. How can somebody amass such a wealth? And if somebody talks, the opportunity that they use this money to buy people to support them, even the people who are bought over to support them, they don't know the enormity or the amount of money that were stolen. Because when they're in this thing, there are so many of them, even people who they are buying, they are suffering, smiling, suffering in silence. So my advice to EFCC or those who are fighting the corruption, they should not make this thing as they fight as a drama or sit. We want to see people who are convicted to be punished, to be jailed, not after a little noise. You will not see them again. We know about Ojus Okalu, Theodoji, Daria, and others. Today, Rota Sokorota, what are they? There are many of them. And the present, the recent out, the latest, the last governor of Kogi State, who everybody knows that he's using the money to buy the supporters who are supporting him other day.
That's an allegation anyway.
Allegedly.
It's an allegation, allegedly. That's why I say in every element, in every rumor, there must be some element of truth. It's an allegation.
Okay.
Well,
but what I'm saying in short is that the party, they should put it in practice, that those who are convicted should be punished, so that we see, so that it will serve as a deterrent.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ahmed.
Coming back to the question I just asked before that intervention by the caller, covering the excesses of governors in terms of the power, the enormous power they have. They've been controlling, the state legislature, to some extent judiciary. We are seeing conflicting court orders, in favor of the governors. They've also substantially controlled resources because of the joint local government account, whatever. How do we, checkmate these excesses?
The only way we can checkmate the excess that is if we implement it through democracy. Because all these people you are talking about, they are being appointed. Even the members of the House of Assembly, they are being appointed.
Not elected.
Not elected. So you would not want to offend who gave you that opportunity. So that's why...
what happened to the people that QA, at the polling units to elect?
Do they write results? You go there, you vote, you drop your card, and you've gone. How do you know what happens after you have gone?
Even with the reforms we are seeing in the electoral processes,
we have seen what happened in last election when they said they will have electronic transfer. Did it happen? Did it happen?
But it does happen at a state level, for instance.
Even that's what we are saying now. At the state level, we have people that are appointed, not elected, and that is what is going on.
One of the things that the federal government, this current administration, is fighting is, of course, making sure all of this is put to a stop, and that is why they are going to court. Now, some experts are saying the changing of constitution, amending constitution would be better in order to put all of this in place. Why do you think the federal government is stalling on, pushing the bill of changing the constitution rather than taking the street of we're going to court? Would it work at the end of the day?
If we have a new constitution, are we going to have different people that will operate the constitution? What is wrong with the present constitution? We are not obeying it. Nigerians do not obey the law. A constitution will provide a particular law. This is what should be done in this country. Do we obey it? And if you breach the constitution, this is what happens. Do we follow it? So if we amend the constitution, are we going to change our attitudes?
But looking at the need, the calls for amending the constitution, there has been conversation around the need to have true federalism. Some felt that if you have true federalism, the excesses of the states can be checkmated. The fact that they would have to contribute to the center now. They don't just go to the center and collect. At the end of the month, you collect federal allocation from the federation account without necessarily contributing. If it is a true federalism, for instance, states would have to be enormous independent entities that they have to contribute to the center. That means that they have to be productive. They have to be able to generate, resources for them to contribute to the center. Do you think that will change the narrative?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, if we don't change our attitude, it may not change the narrative. Because when we are talking of development in the state, that is for people to be productive. You don't need a constitution to force you to be productive in your state. You do it because you want to improve your state. And I don't think that should be the driving force for us. But if we think that it will change the way we do things in this country, it will change our attitude, why not?
Now, looking at what is happening at the state level now, you find out that there are enormous resources, potentials in the states. Some are harboring gold, and all the solid minerals. A number of them have potentials in other areas, agriculture, oil, natural gas, and all of that. But because perhaps of these limitations, they are not able to harness.
What is preventing us from doing that is the insecurity in this country. Plus, we know the challenges we are facing.
Yeah, Aja, before you continue on the insecurity, I think we have a call. Let's take this. Good morning. Good afternoon, rather. Are you with us?
Hello?
Yes, okay. Good afternoon. Your name and location?
Hello, good morning. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. It's good to have you. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Augustine Michael. I'm calling from Kaduna.
Thank you for joining us, Augustine. Go ahead with your take.
So I wanted to contribute in this your program.
Of course.
Yeah. So to say the fact, this government, I don't know, we are celebrating 25 years. I don't know what we are celebrating actually.
Democracy.
Because as my, hello?
Yes, we're with you. Go ahead.
We are, as the person that spoke from the first time, this government, I don't know, we are not obeying the rules of law. Imagine a governor that will steal the phone of people and they will arrest him. He will deny the EFCC to arrest him because he's in the government or he's in APC. I don't know what Nigeria is heading to. So that's my contribution. If Nigeria will move forward, let us obey the rule of law. If somebody in the government that offends or loot people's money should be held accountable for what he has done. Not because somebody is a governor that he will not obey a rule of law. And they will catch somebody that stole a ram and they will jail him in prison. And a government that stole millions and millions of naira of people, of a state, he will not be arrested. So let us do the needful so that Nigeria will move forward.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Augustine.
Yeah,
appreciate you.
I think the caller out there is raising a very fundamental question, talking about the need to obey the rule of law. And it's one of the critical features of democracy. Democracy without rule of law, it's not a system that somebody should cherish.
Yeah.
He cited an example. Ordinary people are meant to be, are said to be equal to the law, rather, or they are meant to face the law. But then those who are at the helm of affairs get away with it. Are we really adhering to this principle of the rule of law?
If we are adhering to the principles of rule of law, we will not be where we are today.
Okay, sorry for the interruption. Now we have another caller.
Yeah, good morning.
Good afternoon, Hamza. Are you there?
Hello, I'm there.
Oh, okay, Hamza. Where are you calling from?
From the state. I just called back again.
Okay, Hamza. Very quickly, because we have a number of callers on the line.
Okay, actually, I just want to commend Mr. President for coming up with the idea of seeking legal intervention for a local government autonomy. It's a good one, and I want all Nigerians to put their hands together and support Mr. President. And as for the governors, I'm sure it's an understandable something, and if they truly vie for their seats, for the well-being of their people, I'm sure this is going to go a long way in making such realizable. And most importantly, I want to appreciate the effort of our governor, Muhammad Inu Ayadamajin Gombe, who has been tremendously doing so much in infrastructure and so many things that are going on in the state. I want to congratulate Nigeria for independence, and I also commend the guest because he has highlighted so many points that are so meaningful for this country. Good, congratulations, Nigeria.
Right. Thank you very much, Hamza, for your contribution. Haja, back to you. I talked about application of the rule of law. How do we get it to become universal, not just selective? Someone steals a ram and he goes to jail, and another steals billions of naira and is roaming the street free.
Well, as I was trying to explain, the law should be for everybody. Nobody should be above the law. That is what it says. Nobody should be above the law. But in Nigeria of today, we all know that, as you rightly said, some people can just do whatever they want to do, and well, if you like, take me to court. I don't know what the statement means. If you like, take me to court. Well, I have done it, and you can take me to court. And this is just it. So we should ensure that if we are obeying the law, things will be better for us. All the problems we are facing today is because of, as I said, our attitudes. Our leaders should try to be humble. Our leaders should try as much as possible to submit to the people that elects them. If they are submissive, if they are humble, we will not be where we are today.
You talked about this attitude, consistently, and it got across, lines. Attitude among our leaders, attitude among Nigerians. Where is the place of our National Orientation Agency, for instance? This is an agency that is saddled with the responsibility of value reorientation. In the past, we've seen how that agency has done significantly in instilling in Nigerians patriotism and even the leaders. So how do we get it to come back alive and alive to its responsibilities?
Before Ajia would answer that, we'll have a caller. Good afternoon. Are you with us?
Yes, good afternoon.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I'm with you. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Please go ahead.
My name is Gabriel Jopu from Kaduna.
Okay, Gabriel. Go ahead with your take.
Yes, I'm a journalist, and I want to appreciate our mother there, talking about Mama Maryam Ciroma.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes, she's listening to you.
Yes, and she has made a great point about the Nigerian state at 25.
Right. Okay, thank you very much. You have any contribution to make?
Yes. We're talking about the leadership of this country and also the...
Please, can you go ahead and talk and not wait for yourself?
Yeah, you need to turn down the volume of your TV set.
The followership is the problem, and we are trying to see how we can make the followership to be reoriented. So that we can make better use of it when it...
Okay,
Gabriel, I think he has made the point.
Indeed. His point is that
we need to also look at the followership. Okay. Hadia, one last line. I think you were talking about, the question I asked, the need for value reorientation, since it is about attitude. An attitude of our leaders, an attitude of the followership. How do we strike a balance?
When we talk of attitude, it's a change of attitude. All of us, the followership and leaders, will have to look what we are getting, what we are doing today. Is it giving us what we want? So we have to change our attitude and ensure that I still insist that Nigeria comes first. So whatever we are doing, look at our country, because this is the only country we have, and this is the only country we can call our own. So if we are focused on what we intend to achieve for our country, of course we'll change our attitudes to ensure that we get it right.
Right, okay. I understand the National Assembly is getting set perhaps to receive the president, on for this address that is going to take place any moment from now. All is being set, and the president is about to make his way to the National Assembly for that intervention. But in the meantime, I think we'll have to take a break, and when we return, our conversation continues. Stay with us.